Hello and welcome back to the Most Dangerous Podcast. I nearly forgot the name then because it's been so long. I've not been here for a while. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks, James. Yeah, I forgot what you look like.
Yeah, a lot of life things going on. So I've had to take a few weeks off just to try and sort things out. But I'm back. Happy to be here again. And as you can see, due to the lighting, we're recording at a different time of day today, aren't we?
Yeah, so I'm going to throw a disclaimer in. I've got my full complement of children here today, and wife and
Right.
stuff like that, and dogs.
So any background noises?
Yeah.
Or shouting from the wife saying, "Why haven't you done the dishes?" So yeah, that comes from Fraser's side of things. So we're finishing off our flights series this week. It feels like this has been going on for fucking ages, but we're finally going to get to the end of it, and it's my story. I think that's why I've been putting it off, because I've been like, oh, I don't want to do a story. But here we are. So I've told you what it is already, but I'll intro it anyway, and then people can make their own minds up if they want to listen or go and watch the film. Okay, so here we go. So it was supposed to be just another moon mission. The public had grown used to success, perhaps even bored by it. But then, in the cold vacuum of space, 200,000 miles from Earth, something went terribly wrong. 3 astronauts were stranded in a crippled spacecraft, oxygen leaking, power draining, and the clock ticking. What followed was one of the most dramatic rescues in human history. Today, Fraser, we're going to talk about Apollo 13.
Fantastic. Love the film. Wouldn't have known about it without the film.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, people of our age probably will have seen the film. Anyone younger listening, I don't think we've got younger listeners. But, yeah, go and watch it. It's pretty good. And it's basically just a visual version of what I'm going to tell you today.
Yeah, it's got Tom Hanks. He's
never
bad, is he?
No.
So I'm sure you do a better job now.
Other than Tom Hanks, yeah, maybe. Okay, so the late 1960s were a golden era for space exploration. After the triumph of Apollo 11, do you know what happened in Apollo 11?
Yeah, they pretended they went to the moon. Apparently.
That's right. Yes, according to some sources. According to some sources, it was the first space mission to land humans on the moon. And we all know that the 3 astronauts involved were Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and I'm sure I've asked you this before. Do you remember the name of the third guy?
You told me, but I forgot.
Yeah, it's Michael Collins.
That's it, Michael Collins, yeah.
So on the July 20th, 1969, Armstrong and Aldrin descended in the lunar module Eagle and landed in the Sea of Tranquility, while Collins remained in orbit aboard the command module Columbia. Armstrong became the first human to walk on the moon, and he spoke the iconic words. Go for it.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
That's right, yeah.
That's I think then.
Well, there's an Eddie Izzard sketch from years and years ago in the 90s, and he talks about it. And it's like he says, well, he's not just made that up, has he? You know, he's thought about it and gone, right, okay, when I step on the moon, I'm going to say this because it's going to be forever in history. And he just does this sort of sketch, which is quite funny. And it's like, sort of like rehearsing it in his head, going, okay, don't get it wrong, Neil. Don't get it wrong. I'm a small man. Like, no. Imagine if he just said it completely wrong. But anyway, the astronauts, while they were there, collected samples, took photographs, conducted various experiments, and they returned safely to Earth on the July 24th, 1969. So 4 days. Not bad. It fulfilled President John F. Kennedy's 1961 goal of landing man on the moon and returning him safely. So well done to them.
It's like a mad thing. It's like, I bet they got there and they were like, there's nothing here.
It's just rock, like, yeah. Like, we've got loads of rock. Yeah, it's like...
I think it's just the next step from climbing Everest, isn't it? I've climbed Everest. Now I'm going to
moon.
To the moon, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's boring, isn't it?
It's like, been for years because
there's nothing there. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I know like Elon Musk is talking about going to Mars, but he won't because there's absolutely no benefit. You know so he's like CEO of like Tesla and all these companies and stuff. He's like a multi-billionaire, the richest man in the world. So he goes to all his like shareholders and that and goes, right, I'm going to build a rocket ship and go to Mars. And they're all there going, well, where's the benefit for us? You're just going to you're just going to spend loads of money, but we don't get anything out of it. So no, you're not going to do that. So I can't see that he's going to do that, to be honest.
It's just a legacy. It's just he wants to do it for his legacy.
Yeah, of course, it's an ego thing. But it's anyway. Hopefully he does. It'd be good to go to Mars just to have a look. But it's just rock again, like more rock, red rock this time.
Sorry, James. In Saturn, it rains sulfuric acid.
Yeah, I believe so. But I mean, you can't. It doesn't have a surface, though, does it? It's just a big gas.
Yeah, I think Saturn and Jupiter are, aren't they?
Yeah, and Neptune maybe. Yeah, so you just kind of fall through.
Yeah,
and get rained on and burnt to death. Great, isn't it? I'll just whiz through this one. Apollo 12 was the second moon landing, the lesser known moon landing. That was on November 14th, 1969, just 4 months after Apollo 11. That was Charles Pete Conrad, who's the mission commander, Alan L. Bean, who's Mr. Bean, who's the lunar module pilot, and Richard F. Gordon, who was the command module pilot. Again, this was just a sort of practice lunar landing, precision landing, really, just to make sure they could do it again if they wanted to. Obviously, there's no sort of GPS or anything back in them days.
Yeah.
And they did successfully land just 163 meters from where they wanted to. With all these just by kind of like using the instruments that they had in the 60s. It's
just maths. It was literally just maths.
Yeah.
Like,
it's really clever.
There was someone that could do a sum that was like, if we shoot this rocket at that speed, that way, that's where they'll land.
Yeah, with the gravity and the resistance and stuff like that. Yeah. So Conrad and Bean were the ones that went onto the surface this time, with Gordon staying in the control module. They spent 7 hours on the surface and just collected more rock, just because that's exactly what we need. I mean, it's important to go there, isn't it? We want aliens, though, don't we? Really? Like, there's loads of aliens.
You want to bring stuff like resources back, like you want to not rock. You want to go to a planet that's made of gold, or
yeah, imagine that. But then gold would just be worthless. There's a load of gold up there.
True, yeah.
It's like
helium. We're running out of helium.
Are we?
Yeah, it's a finite resource. We can't make it.
There's got to be loads of helium around somewhere.
Yeah,
in space.
Planet full of helium.
Yeah, get one of them. Okay, so following on from that, Apollo 13. So here we are into the good stuff now. So its mission was to land on Fra Mauro, a geologically interesting region of the moon, apparently. Fucking rock again. So this is, I don't know, some part of the moon they wanted to land on because it looked interesting. We've got Commander Jim Lovell. That was Tom Hanks in the film. He was a veteran of the Gemini and Apollo 8 expeditions. He led the crew. We've got Fred Hayes. He was a rookie. He would serve as the lunar module pilot. And then there was Jack Swigert. I think that's how you say it. Watch the film. He was a last-minute replacement for Ken Mattingly, who had been exposed to German measles just days before the launch. So he never got to go up there.
I remember that from the film. Yeah, he was gutted,
he was gutted, yeah. He was disappointed, but he was kind of happy at the end. So Apollo 13, the mission began on April 11th in 1970. It was a flawless launch, but there were signs, just subtle ones, that not everything was perfect. It was a minor issue with an engine just shutting down, and one of the tanks, I think it's one of the oxygen tanks, just took a little bit longer to fill up than it should have done. So there was kind of like, well, these things happen. Yeah, but they didn't know what was going to happen, did they?
No.
So at 55 hours and 55 minutes into the flight, the crew performed a routine procedure that was stirring the cryogenic oxygen tanks. Sorry, let me start that again. At 55 hours and 55 minutes into the flight, the crew performed a routine procedure, stirring the cryogenic oxygen tanks. What happened next would change the course of the mission and nearly cost them their lives. There was a loud bang, and the spacecraft shuddered, and the warning lights came on and started to flash. So Jim Lovell, these are his actual words, he said, "Suddenly the spacecraft rocked and we heard this hiss. It was like a sledgehammer hit the side." And if you watch the film, This is what it says. This is Swiggert's voice crackling down the radio. It goes, "Houston, we have a problem." And then Lovell follows up with, "Houston, we've had a main B bus undervolt." If you're into space exploration, you probably know what that means. I don't, but it doesn't sound good to me.
Something's gone wrong.
Yeah, well, we've got a big problem.
You imagine you're in a spaceship and you hear a little explosion.
You just think you're done for.
Yourself. Yeah.
You just think that's it. Now I'm done.
If I'm in a plane and there's a little bit of turbulence, shit.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah.
What was that? If the air hostess drops a can of Coke, what the fuck was that?
Yeah. Or the seatbelt signs come on. Oh, fucking hell.
You must enter that spaceship knowing I could die. I'll probably, there's a fair chance I'll die here.
Well,
you must take that risk on board.
That's the thing. So there's another space film which is pretty good. I think it's Ryan Gosling, and it's called Armstrong, I think.
Yeah.
And the clue's in the name. It's about Neil Armstrong, and you kind of sort of take it. I was watching it. I thought you kind of take it for granted a bit that these guys just got in a space rocket and went up to space and went to the moon. But thinking about it, you don't know what's gonna. You're strapping yourself to a big rocket and you get fired up into space. Like, you've got your wife and your kids at home.
I know.
It's absolutely terrifying. And the more you think about it, if it did actually happen, conspiracy theories and all that, the more that I thought about it whilst I was watching the film, I was thinking, fair dues to the guy. Like, he does need all the acclaim that he gets. If he,
Look at Columbia and Challenger blew up. Which was the one that went up and blew up? That was Columbia. Challenger blew up coming back in, I think.
Did it? Right, okay.
Yeah, because the shuttles were like Challenger and Endeavour and stuff. I'm sure Columbia was the one that...
Was that the one with this teacher on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just on a big explosion. There was the one that didn't take off. They just all burnt alive in the cockpit.
You're on a nuclear weapon, basically. You're on a nuclear missile, strapped to a nuclear missile, and you're getting fired into space. And it's like, wow, fair dues. I'd like to go to space, but I don't know.
I know, yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, if it was 100% guaranteed that I wouldn't explode in the atmosphere, then...
I heard on another podcast, people have a fear of potholing and caving. It's the most avoidable death in the world. You don't go in there.
Just don't go in there,
yeah. Don't go in there.
Yeah.
It's nothing. People are terrified of it, but you don't go in.
Yeah.
You don't have to be terrified of it.
It's horrible, though. I've seen some stuff on YouTube, where people go in...
Potty one.
Yeah, they're proper crawling, scraping their bodies through these little caverns and stuff. You're thinking, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah.
What for?
There can't be anything good in there.
If you got inside it and then this cave all lit up and it was gems and it was beautiful and waterfalls and fucking creatures that you didn't see outside the cave, but they just basically go through a tunnel and come out the other side.
Yeah. They're just filthy, full of mud.
Yeah.
They're soaking. Go home.
In my opinion. Fucking something weird.
Definitely.
Something's happened to them as a kid.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very strange. Anyway, each to their own. So, mission control's worst fears began to take shape. A liquid oxygen tank had exploded. That's not good. It tearing through a service model and crippling the fuel cells. Fuck, shit. This left the ship Odyssey, the command module, without adequate power, water, or air. So it wasn't just a malfunction. This is a life-threatening crisis. So within hours, Apollo 13 was transformed from a lunar expedition into a rescue mission. The decision was made to abort the moon landing. Good idea, considering they've got no air or water. The astronauts shut down the command module and they retreated into Aquarius, which was the lunar module. So that's the bit that breaks off and goes into on the moon. But Aquarius wasn't designed to support 3 men for very long. Temperatures dropped below freezing, condensation formed on the walls, and the crew had to ration water to just a few sips per day, and sleep was impossible, pretty much. Meanwhile, back on Earth, engineers worked around the clock. NASA called in every mind they had, including flight director Gene Kranz, engineers like John Aaron, and even Ken Mattingly, who obviously didn't go on the flight, as we discussed. and they were all instrumental in developing the solutions.
Can you help? No.
Yeah.
No,
That should have been
fuck
me up
you.
there.
Yeah.
It's like coming in on your day off. Like, no,
Yeah.
sorry, my day off.
I'd have sorted it if I was up there. Fuck you.
So the engineers were basically told, we need to make square pegs fit into round holes, and they sort of fashioned repairs out of duct tape, plastic bags, and things like that. And like I say, if you're interested in this, go and watch the film. You'll see they kind of sort of strap things up.
Yeah, in the film, I remember they all sit in a room with, this is what they've got on that ship. You need to fix it with.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Like sit for hours, and it is literally a square peg and around. I'm sure it's a square filter. They've got to get on a round hole.
Oh, maybe that's what that was then.
Yeah, it's literally a square peg and a round
this
hole.
CO2 scrubber fix thing.
Yeah. There's
like
they can repair this thing with this filter, but the hole's round and the filter's square, so they can make like a thing to adapt it.
Yeah, that makes sense now then. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So they come up with this CO2 scrubber fix to stop the carbon dioxide building up. So they needed this filter, and like you say, it was round and it was square. Yeah, they did it with duct tapes and bags and stuff. Yeah. It's interesting, but I'm not a scientist. So they had to get home as well. They lost power. So to get the crew back home, Apollo 13 had to swing around the moon and use it as a gravity sort of slingshot back towards Earth. But this trajectory brought new challenges because they were off course and they needed to adjust. So with most systems offline, the astronauts performed a manual burn. So this is basically they eyeballed the Earth through the window, and they just had to fire the engines just sort of ever so slightly, just to sort of like push them round to get on course. It did actually work, which is fascinating, incredible actually. They managed to, they've got all the devices are offline. They're just kind of looking out the window, going, "Yeah, left a bit, right a bit." Yeah. By this point, of course, the world was watching. News anchors were providing hourly updates. The Pope was praying for their return, and families were gathered around television sets. For 4 days, Apollo 13's drama unfolded like a real-time thriller. So, as Odyssey re-entered the Earth's atmosphere on April 17th, 1970, no one could be sure what would happen. Would the heat shield hold? Would they survive the violent descent? As they entered the atmosphere, there were 4 minutes of radio silence. Then a crackle. So NASA, Odyssey, Houston, standing by. Then Lovell comes back on the radio after 4 minutes. Okay, Joe. And of course, cheers erupted in mission control as the capsule splashed down into the Pacific. It was actually just 3 miles away from the recovery ship. So that's pretty good. It's pretty good eyeball in there.
Yeah.
And of course, all 3 astronauts were safe. So that's good. So Apollo 13 is often called a successful failure. It failed to reach the moon, but it succeeded in everything that truly mattered. In the wake of the mission, NASA overhauled safety protocols, redesigned oxygen tanks, and introduced a more rigorous system of testing. Ken Mattingly, the man who had stepped down, would fly to the moon on Apollo 16. So we got there in the end. Fair dues. The mission inspired a new appreciation for spaceflight dangers, and for the problems of spaceflight and the solving brilliance that can emerge under pressure of all those engineers that worked to save those astronauts.
It made it exciting again, didn't it, I suppose?
Yeah. I mean, not much has happened since, though. I mean, I'd like to sort of see someone go to the moon again, just so I could watch it on the telly, like they did back in the day.
We have better technology now as well. You can see it in like HD.
Yeah, proper Be like, because the last time, I don't think anyone's been up in our lifetime, have they?
Don't think so, no.
It was like the 70s was the last time.
I think there's no point in going, and they lost interest in it as well.
Yeah, cost and things like that, I suppose. Like you can't, particularly this day and age with recession and cost of living and all that, you can't spend like billions of quid going to a rock in space when people are literally starving.
There's nothing to learn from there, is there?
Not really, but I think the idea is to use it as a base, like a land. So you go to the moon, refill or refuel, and then use it as a launch pad to go to Mars.
Yeah, I suppose less gravity. So if you launched from there,
Yeah, yeah, that's what I read
Don't need
sort of
as
recently.
much to launch, do you?
Yeah, not as much fuel and stuff like that. So, and they sort of build like a space station up there, and who knows. So, as I said, there's a film, 1995 film called Apollo 13. Tom Hanks is Lovell, the commander. It is really good, isn't it? I quite like
It's good
it.
film, yeah.
Yeah. So
There's some other really good actors in it. I can't think of their names, but
it's that fellow who's in Forrest Gump as well.
yeah, Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah, Lieutenant Dan, not Tom Hanks because
he's the one that doesn't go, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. If it isn't is it Sean Bean? No. Kevin Bacon, is he in it? I don't know.
Possibly, yeah. There's a few good famous actors in it. I know that.
Yeah, it's good. Good watch. Okay, so just to finish off then, Apollo 13 didn't bring back any moon rocks, but it brought back heroes. It showed that when everything goes wrong, the human spirit, paired with knowledge, cooperation, and determination, can still win the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, there we go. So thanks very much for listening, Fraser.
Thanks,
that's
James.
been this week's Most Dangerous podcast. Again, a short one. But I think that's for the best at the moment.
Yeah.
Because we're both going through various things in life, which means we're taking our attention away from this a little bit. But can't be helped.
Yeah, we've had a brief chat, and I'm sorry to say we'll never go away. We'll keep doing this one way or another. So,
yeah. We'll come back next week. I don't think we're going to do a full episode next week, are we? We're going to come back and potentially. We'll see how it goes. We'll provide some updates as to what we're going to be doing next and the future of the pod. Changes
are afoot, but it'll be good.
I think so. Righto. Okay. Well, thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you
James.
Next time. Cheers.
Speak soon.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.